The Department of Public Health and Human Services is pleased to bring you Aging Horizons. Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, fraud, legal issues, veterans benefits, and caregiving. Aging Horizons is a program dedicated to inform and prepare Montanans on these timely issues, making a difference to you and your loved ones. Here now is today's program host.
Welcome to Aging Horizons. On today's show, we'll be talking about fire. Fire happens year-round in Montana, and how do we live with fire? We have to address common issues where our homes can be protected, our communities, and our towns. It's coming up on another fire season, and they've always been pretty exciting, and there's not really a traditional fire season. We'll be talking about that and so much more. Stay tuned.
Every 65 seconds, someone is affected with Alzheimer's or other dementias. Many become isolated at a time when help is most needed. If you or someone you love is affected, help is available, both for people with memory loss and their caregivers. Memory loss can feel frightening, but you are not alone. Call the free 24/7 Alzheimer's Association helpline, 800-272-3900, for guidance and support.
This is Bill. He just received his new Medicare card and is following some simple rules to protect himself from fraud. He knows to never give out his Medicare, Social Security, or bank number over the phone. And this is Nancy. She knows that to detect any problems, she always reads her Medicare summary notice or Medicare Advantage EOB to make sure the billing is correct. Both Bill and Nancy know that anything suspicious can be reported to Montana SMP at 1-800-551-3191.
45 years, 2 packs a day. That's like $80,000. I thought I was just hurting myself until I fell asleep in a chair with a cigarette. The whole house went up. I lost it all. I knew smoking was expensive, but I never thought it would cost me everything.
I've been shooting since I was young. It's something I've always enjoyed. I wasn't feeling like myself, but my friend noticed. He asked if he could hold onto my guns temporarily. At first, I was a little shocked, but then I agreed. I think he saved my life that day.
Hi folks, and welcome to Aging Horizons, brought to you by the Department of Public Health and Human Services Senior Long-Term Care Division. I'm your host, Brian Lamore. As I mentioned, we were talking about fire in Montana. Anymore, the fire season is 12 months a year, but it kind of intensifies during the later summer months. We'll be talking about a brochure and issues about living with fire. You're a homeowner in Montana, or you live in a home with your parents maybe. What are some issues that you need to address in case a fire comes to your home, your community, or your town? There's a lot of great info in here. And of course, we have some wonderful guests with us. We have Pat McKelvey, you're with Fire Safe Montana, and Rocky Infanger, you're with Fire Chief, Wolf Creek and Craig. Welcome to the show. It's great to have you guys here.
Thank you.
Well, now, Pat, let's start with you. You know, we're talking about living with fire, and we've been working with that stuff for a long time, you and I. And what are some things that people need to know about fire?
Well, it definitely, is a changing duration now than what we used to think of as, July through August, September, October, and then we'd all go home and the snow would fly and everything would be fine. But anymore, we're finding it's just, you can remember just the recent history in Montana wildfires. We're having them now in November and December and on. And so what this publication, and which by the way is on several revisions now, as you've pointed out, we've had it a while, it is something that shows people that we're not, there's two entities here. Your structure, the home itself, and the outbuildings and those kinds of things, and what to do around there, but also in the vegetation management outside and beyond that 150, 200-foot zone that we call survivable, defensible space. And by that, Rocky will talk about this, we want that to survive on its own without firefighter intervention. So the homeowner and the preparation that they do is very important. So the same is true for the vegetation management. Projects don't have to be, extremely large in acreage, but we do want to keep that 1,000, 1,200 degree heat of the flame itself and that fire away from your structure. That way we're helping to help it survive on its own, which is, as I said, is the goal. So it's a task that we've been talking about for years, and continues to get even more intense as our research is showing, facts are showing, that more people are moving into the wildland-urban interface, and hence the risk is becoming even greater. So we need to get the word out continually. This is available, by the way, on our website at FireSafe Montana. So that's our pitch, is to and there are other organizations that tie in with this as well. In Montana, the Forest Owners Association is very interested in proper management of their forested timbered properties. And it isn't just about trees. It's spacing, it's rangeland, grass. We're blessed with a very cool spring this year, wet. The grass is getting pretty deep. Yeah. Great for grazing cows, but that will dry out, and the ignition source will come. We always know that we're going to live with that here in the nearby future. So it's always a good time to plan and to act. Yeah. And there's a lot of assistance available to do a project if it's identified there. And it takes a good assessment, somebody that understands both the things that we're talking about in relation to the structure and in relation to that vegetation treatment.
And I think what you're pointing out is that you have your home in your outbuildings. They're your responsibility to make sure that they are fire, I'll say, resistant, or you've avoided some issues that with that home, so that your home is survivable, rather than saying the fire department's responsible for saving your home.
Well, that's true, and of course the firefighters, they want to help.
Yes.
But we've also for years been training them that their life is not worth a garage or that home over there. Rocky will talk about evacuation and those kinds of things, which we want you to go. We're not suggesting that this become a place where you stay.
Right, during a fire. No.
We want you out of there.
Yes.
if there's a fire threatening, and you'll receive notification of that. But it also means that it has to be safe for that firefighters to be in there, for that crew, to do structure protection kinds of things that they will do. So it's just the landowner has a very important part in this.
Yes.
They are the ones that are responsible for making that structure.
And as we draw to a close on the show, the segment, I want to emphasize how important it is to get this information. They've prepared it, experts have done it. You have available local fire people would probably come over and help assess your home. There are programs out there to help you address issues that might be happening around your home that can be easily resolved. I know Pat and I have done shows in the past where, man, this forest mitigation stuff, it made the home much more beautiful and usable, and you enjoyed a lot more being there, and you're a lot safer. We have a lot more information. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Can you say ombudsman? Bidsman. Benson?
Uma Doodlesman? Fortunately, you don't have to say it right to get the help of a long-term care ombudsman. If you or a loved one reside in assisted living or long-term care, an ombudsman can help resolve any issue. And these services are completely free and confidential. Now, why don't you try that again?
Ombudsman.
I was the last guy you'd expect to get diabetes. I was a competitive runner and I always took care of myself. So when I was diagnosed, it kind of threw me. But it's really encouraging to know I'm not alone with it. There are a lot of other people going through the same things as I am. It takes some effort. You have to keep after it. Exercise, meds, and diet are the key. But there are a lot of folks who want me to succeed. Diabetes is not the end of the world. With effort and attitude, you can have a normal life.
I think the most pleasant surprise when we turned 65 and signed up for Medicare Part B was finding out about our Welcome to Medicare preventive visit.
It was free, and it gave us the opportunity to visit with our doctors and establish a plan for our health going forward.
They reviewed our medical history, measured our height, weight, blood pressure, and counseled us on other risk factors.
To learn more about Medicare's free or low-cost preventive and wellness benefits, call your local SHIP counselor at 800-551-3191. I mentioned it's free, right?
Twice.
Elder abuse is a growing problem, and it's happening right here in our Montana communities. At least 1 in 10 older adults are victims of physical or emotional abuse, financial exploitation, or neglect. To get help or report elder abuse, call your local area agency on aging or Adult Protective Services at 1-844-277-9300.
Welcome back to Aging Horizons. We're talking about fire in Montana, and how you need to be aware of what is happening. In this segment, we'll be talking about construction, how your home is constructed, and maybe some maintenance that you need to do on your home to make it fire resistant. Of course, rejoining us is Pat McKelvey. You're with Fire Safe Montana, and Rocky Infanger. You're the fire chief of the Wolf Creek Craig area. Look, like I say, welcome to the show. But Rocky, let's start with you. Fire safe construction. What are some of the big tips that people might want to look at doing, and what resources are available to them?
The main thing would be when you're starting to build your house, to implement these guidelines during construction. If you currently live in your home, there are some basic things you can do to improve the chances during a wildfire. Yeah. Making sure your gutters are clean. A couple times a year or more if you have needle buildup. The type of roof construction. If it's time to replace your roof, make sure you're using fire resistant materials. Decks, not accumulating stuff under your decks. Generally homes burn down from ember. They're not direct flame impingement until the structures start, and then they can leapfrog from structure to structure. But generally it's cleaning up around your home. Clutter that can build up, you know, we've got some boards piled up near the house. Those are all have the potential of igniting your house just from blowing embers. Keeping your grass mowed down. We like to talk about the different zones. We talk about the house and the type of construction, from windows to decks. The furniture on your deck, can it ignite? You know, wicker furniture. A lot of people have wicker furniture. That's a flammable material. So there's a lot you can do. Then you work out from your zones, the first 5 feet out from the house. Non-flammable materials. Having the juniper growing up under the eaves may look nice, but in the event of fire, it's probably one of your worst enemies. So working on the different zones, 0 to 5 feet out, ignition resistant materials, and then the 5 to 30 feet, 30 to 60, from 60 out to at least 200 feet. And that gets into the vegetation type stuff. Keeping your grasses mowed. If you do, you know, another thing with ignition resistant materials is a fence. Do you have a wooden fence that connects to your home? They have found multiple fires. The fences have ignited, it's traveled down the fence line to the home. So whether you live out in the country or in the city, look at your home first, work out from your home. That's number one. Once you get that completed, there's a lot more things involved in, are you prepared to evacuate if need be? Have a go bag. Be prepared to grab your stuff and go. Trying to get it together in the heat of the moment can be a killer. So, you want to talk medications, credit cards, different things like that. Pets. What are you doing with your pets? Do you have livestock? Do you have a plan for that? Do you have a plan for where you're going and where you're going to meet? It may be a large parking lot on the edge of town or something. And so you can let other family members know where that is. Because you generally, in our day and age, both people are working. Different places, they may be home or one in town shopping. Where are you going to meet at? Where are you going to get together at? Did you bring the charger for the cell phone? We rely on cell phones a lot these days. Another thing is driveways and routes, evacuation routes. Are they being addressed? Reducing fuels along there so you can safely get out and the firefighters can safely get in. Is your home got a address sign? We would prefer reflective metal signs on a metal post. Wooden numbers up on a tree can burn up, and So there's a lot you can do to prepare for that. When's the last time you reviewed your insurance with your agent? Are you insured for what you think you're insured for? Along with getting prepared do you have your policy handy? Do you have your number for your agent? You may need to contact them. So there's a lot to get prepared, but we need to start with our home. And then we need to protect ourselves, our routes, and all of that. So,
and how do we make it easier for the firefighters to help us if they can get there?
Yeah, as Pat mentioned, we will not exchange firefighters for homes. Right. It's not what we're in the business for. We will help, but you have to help. Doug will talk about what we're doing on a community level, statewide level, to help get people prepared. But it starts with you. You are the homeowner. You have some responsibility. Relying on the fire department to do it all at the last minute is not a good plan.
Not a good plan.
No.
And you might want to volunteer with your local fire department. They're always looking for volunteers.
This is true.
Yep. And as we've drawn to a close on our second segment, we're talking about the ignition-resistant construction guide that goes hand in hand with living with fire. How do you address the issues around your home about fire? We see firewood stacked up against the house. That's a no-no. I drive around, I see that, I go, it's convenient, but that's an ignition source. How do you address these issues? And we have the information here. You don't have to figure it out yourself. You can contact the website that we have on the screen, and you can drill down and find out what you need to know. But I think when Rocky kind of drove home is have a plan with your family too. Have a plan for the unexpected. You never know what's going to happen, and what are your steps if it does happen. We'll talk about that and so much more in just a few moments. You've probably seen some big-name celebrities on your TV lately talking about all the Medicare benefits you're missing out on. But the insurance companies who are paying for these ads may be pushing benefits not available in Montana. Fortunately, help is available from a friendly state health insurance assistance program counselor who can help you sort it all out. It's free, and we screen everyone for eligibility regardless of your zip code. It's Montanans helping Montanans. Call today.
Respite. It's okay to need it. It's okay to want it. Will you provide it?
The hard part about having outside help is that there's not a lot of people out there who can do that kind of work. We've been very fortunate that our Bonnie has been with us for 7 years. I don't know what I'd do without her. I need her in our lives. She's our second mother. And I can't help but think of her that way.
To find out how to change lives, including your own, call 800-224-6034 or visit respite.mt.gov.
Did you just text me?
I didn't want to disturb you if you were sleeping.
Sleeping? I'm sitting right next to you, silly.
There you are. Hey, I found a couple of Medicare helping programs online that I think we ought to look into.
It says if we qualify, we can get help paying for our prescription drugs. Oh, and there's a program that can help pay our Part B premium.
To learn more about extra help and Medicare savings programs, call your local SHIP counselor today.
Maybe I better text him.
Like many areas in Montana, Helena is nearly surrounded by forest and is at risk of a devastating urban fire. Wind-blown embers from wildfires have ravaged communities like Denton, Montana and Boulder, Colorado. Now is the time to prepare your home for wildland fire, no matter where you live. Be aware and prepare. Make you and your community a safer place. Visit firesafemt.org, paid for by FireSafe Helena and aired by the Montana Broadcasters Association.
Hi folks, welcome back to Aging Horizons. We're talking about fire. We've spoken about how to prepare your home, how to build your home, how to look around your home. Well, in this segment, we'll be talking about evacuating safely. This particular pamphlet is available on the Fire County Firewise website, and it's specific to 3 counties, but it's got a lot of good examples of what you need to address locally. Rejoining us is Pat McKelvey. You're the FireSafe Montana person, and Doug Dodge. You're the Director of Emergency Management in Jefferson County. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
But now in this segment, we want to talk about community plans. How does your community plan for disasters, of which fire is one?
Well, my role in this is coordinating that planning effort, and the example that you raised above is a local example, but there's other examples across the state of Montana. The important part is having that information available. As your previous segments, you spoke about some of the things folks need to do around their homes. Being ready for that evacuation component is important because you've got different ways of communicating with the emergency responders and how they're going to come and deal with whatever issue you may be having, whether it's wildfire or anything else for that matter. This specific document is something that we include how we reach out to people, whether that's on the radio stations or our reverse notification system, things like that. Now, when we talk about planning, it's a shared responsibility. So one of the roles in my office is preparing our communities for the worst that could happen. Part of that is our community wildfire protection plan, our population protection plans. These are partnership plans, so we're all involved. So it includes agencies such as the U.S. Forest Service, the Bureau of Land Management, federal level. We're also talking about state level, Montana DNRC. Of course, our nonprofit partners in FireSafe Montana, the tree owners or the Forest Owners Association, those types of organizations are also heavily involved. Then we talk about locally, county level, at my role. We get down to city level, town level, those roles. So there's a whole partnership involved in creating these plans. The Community Wildfire Protection Plan gives us an opportunity to identify that wildland-urban interface, and every county is going to have some method of approaching that. Our approach is we want to make sure it's a partnership. It's a shared responsibility for all these agencies are pulling together and trying to identify the solutions to a wildfire, for example, and making sure everybody's doing their part to pull along. So in our Community Wildfire Protection Plan, one of the things we identify is the wildland-urban interface. Just because you live out in the forest, that's not the only wildland-urban interface. We also talk about folks that live in town, right? Just in Montana, that's just the nature of the world. We have a wildland-urban interface, including in town. So you don't feel like you could be safe living in town. Well, yes, you are, but you still need to take preparations in the event of a wildfire. This plan allows us to identify that, and then the solutions to those problems at a community level. Knowing who we can contact in the event of that emergency and the steps that we can take, some of the mitigation things that we can take, as far as how we prepare our structures, how our neighbors work together in trying to accomplish this. None of us can do this alone. It's a partnership that is critical for us working together. The other component, these plans that we work on, is the population protection plans. These are the plans that we work together. In our area, it's a tri-county effort. 3 different counties work together. We have very similar plans, so we know what each other are doing in the event that we need to help each other out. So very important. We work with the local fire departments, the volunteers most of the time, giving up their personal time to create a safe environment for their constituents, for lack of a better term, and in order to be able to do that, we need folks to be involved in that. We need to do their part to take care of their house, work together with their neighbors to try to establish some areas of defensible or survivable space that firefighters can safely engage if they have the manpower and equipment to do so. So it's a multi-pronged approach. It's something that we really urge the partnerships, and think it's critical to take part in knowing what everybody sees, the federal and state and local level, what we're doing. We really need people to act on their own as well to support all of these efforts.
And as a DES coordinator, you address what issues in a disaster could affect your county, and you set up plans for that. So when something happens, you have a plan, right?
Exactly. We want to lay out beforehand what we're going to do. We don't want to try and guess on the fly. Of course, there are some things that you do have to decide depending on the incident, but if we're not ready, we're not going to be prepared for when that bad day comes. So it's really important. We're doing this at a federal, state, local level. It's important for folks to do that at their personal level too. We have these plans. They need to have their plans in order to know what they're going to do, what steps they're going to take, what they're going to bring with them when they have to go, how they're going to take care of their pets, how they're going to take care of, say we have someone with some functional needs that need to be taken care of that may not be able to do this by themselves. Can we take care of our neighbors when we need to? There's never going to be enough responders to deal with every single person during an incident. We need to help each other. It's a community effort. Of course, our responders will do everything they can to help everybody they can, but in some of these larger incidents, we don't have the time or the manpower to do that. And so it's really important for folks to take care of each other and to make these plans ahead of time, so you have the time and space to make some of these decisions, so you don't have to think about it when the bad day comes.
Okay, well, thank you. We've drawn quickly to a close on the show, and great information here. And I think one thing we're hearing is personal responsibility. You know, you have your home, you have your assets, you want to preserve them, you want to preserve the lives of your family members and your pets. We've got a lot of great information at the firesafe.org website where you can get these brochures. Become informed, because this is serious stuff. You know, Montanans, we face a lot of different types of emergencies and disasters that can happen at any time. And if you're aware and you're prepared, you'll help the rescuers so much. For Aging Horizons, I'm Brian Lamore. Thank you for joining us.
Special thanks to the Department of Public Health and Human Services for their continued support. Hosts on Aging Horizons are program specialists at the Montana Office on Aging. Production facilities provided by Video Express Productions. For more information about Aging Horizons, call the Department of Public Health and Human Services toll-free at 800-332-2272.